We have arrived at a point in the game where missions are starting to become more and more difficult, and the last mission in particular was rather ridiculous. They threw a lot of enemies at me, in particular vehicles. Okay, so I did come over to an industrial zone and do the repairs and stuff. Okay, wasn't necessarily remembering that's where we left off. I'm tempted to grab a blackjack at 45 tons because I feel like we need a solid 45 ton mech. But you know what mech I really would want at 45 tons? Probably a Vindicator. Because I think, I mean, your main choices are the Phoenix Hawk, the blackjack, and the Vindicator. I'm fairly certain at 45 tons. So that's really the mech I'd want to have. I already have 3 mechs at 50 tons, so I feel like getting another one wouldn't necessarily be what we want, because sometimes I have to fit into a very specific weight, drop weight, and although it might not be that big of a deal to be off by 5 tons, give or take, really we only have one choice at 40 tons, which is the Assassin, and there isn't really a whole lot of other choices at 40 tons. You just have the Cicada, so that's a little problematic. It's one of those situations where I really wish the Vulcan was in the game, or really any other 40-ton mech. There's quite a few in the Battletech universe. Now, we're nearby Capellan space, so it shouldn't really be that hard to find a Vindicator. You just have to go into into Capellan space, because that is kind of the mainline mech of the Capellans at this time period, is the Vindicator, so in theory it shouldn't be that hard of a mech to find, but I don't think I've ever found one in a store. I think I've fought one before. Okay, so we did a mission in Hunan that really didn't go all that well. Money-wise, we're doing all right. Obviously would prefer more money. As far as things go, I do have one mech in cold storage that we could sell. But probably what I'm going to do is sell another mech so that I can bring this mech into our normal inventory and then sell that. So when it comes down to it, I'm probably going to sell one of our 35-ton mechs, because at this point, we have 3 of the things and we've kind of moved beyond the 35-ton, well, really the light mech weight class in general. So having 3 of the things doesn't make sense. 2 would probably be a little bit better. So again, if we needed to fill a particular slot with what tonnage we have to work with, then yeah, that's fine. I don't know what mech I would sell. A potential one would be the Panther, because arguably the Jenner and the Firestarter are just better mechs. Because the Panther has been proving to not be all that effective. But we did equip it with an LRM-5. Maybe they'll keep it more at longer ranges where it's more effective. But in any case, let's go ahead and figure out where we're going to go next. So we do have this zone here where our campaign mission is. What I could do is I could jump down to Footfall. Speaking of which, how much time do we need to do all our work? 21 days is the most? Okay. Well, so we'll probably spend 20 days to get here. But we have 1, 2, 3 contracts besides the campaign one, so we could see what the difficulty of the campaign one is, get an idea of what we have to do to prepare for it. And then maybe we do one of the other contracts if we're not quite ready for it. Or if we feel we are ready for it, then just go for it. Not a lot of industrial zones in Capellan space, but I guess that somewhat makes sense. Got one that's entirely in Capellan space over there. We don't know about the stuff down here that potentially could be. We're kind of working our way towards the periphery, slowly but surely, although we're still very close to the core here where Terra is. Okay, well, in any case, yeah, let's go Footfall. That should take 20 days to get there. Just our problem that we have is I have to, at this stage of the game, if we take any damage, which is very likely we're going to, we have to go to an industrial zone to repair it. It is just getting too expensive and taking too much time, in particular, to repair damage anymore. All right, let's go to Footfall. But we're in the weight range that I'd like to see right now. With a lot of the contracts. All right, let's start off with the campaign mission. Let's see what we got with this. It's a 40 difficulty, which is the same as last time. But last time we had a really terrible drop weight. In this case, we have 250 tons. With the other missions, they're a little less difficult, but we also have less drop weight to work with. So we got 230 tons, probably across the board. Yeah, and this one's a multiple contract. So it's really up to us which of these we want to do. I do want to improve my relationship with the Capellans, so I don't mind doing missions for them. But let's take a real quick look at our battle mechs and figure out. We already know what we would run with 230 tons. But what would we run with if we had 250 tons to work with? Because right now, I think our Lance loadout is the Grasshopper, which is not finished. I could wait a day though, because it's only one day. The Grasshopper, the Thunderbolt, the Trebuchet, I believe, is the other one we've been using. And then I believe we've been using the Phoenix Hawk. I mean, I'd have to think about the weight here. So that would be 110, 160. Yes, 160 plus 70, 230. Yeah. So this is our 230 route. So we have 20 more tons to work with. The obvious choice is to upgrade the Phoenix Hawk. That would only be 10 tons though. Probably the Kintaro, like if I were to do this, the Kintaro would be an obvious choice for us because I think those two would pair well, the Trebuchet and the Kintaro. But that leaves us at a point where we have 10 more tons to work with if I'm thinking of the math correctly. So we've got 120 with the Thunderbolt plus the Kintaro. 170, yeah, we'd be at 240. Just wanted to double check where we would be at. So we'd be 10 tons underweight. Probably not the biggest deal, but maybe we wait and see if we can buy another mech. Now it'd have to be something heavy. Probably 60, 65 tons. And I don't know what I would get. Maybe a catapult to replace the Trebuchet. That would actually be a really good pickup for us. Catapults are really good. One of my favorite mechs in the Battletech universe. Not only does it look cool, but it's very effective, actually. So I would not mind picking up a catapult. And that would fit perfectly in with the lance. We'd have the same lance structure, but we would have the weight that we're looking for. So the likelihood we get exactly what we're looking for, though, is kind of low. What are some other mechs? I'm trying to think what's 65, 60 tons. Rifleman is what, 65, isn't it? Somewhere around there. Archer, I think, is 70 tons. Warhammer would be 70 tons. My knowledge of like the heavier mechs is not as good as the lighter and medium mechs because in Battletech, the tabletop game, I tended to be more of a light medium mech pilot. That was the mechs that I tended to prefer. So those are the ones that I have in my noggin a little bit more thorough. Okay, well, in any case, I think we kind of have a game plan here. We're going to go ahead and go with the lance that we have, which is the Phoenix Hawk instead of the Kintaro, and do this thing. We'd only be able to do one mission, though, because all these mechs would get beat up, and then we would be dramatically underweight. Because what would be our backup mechs beside that? So if we were to do another 230-ton mission, let's say. So we've got the Shadowhawk and the Kintaro. We've got the Centurion and the Crab, right? So this would be 210. And that's as heavy as we could do as a secondary loadout. This wouldn't necessarily be a bad lance. So it's not one that really works together necessarily well. The Kintaro, it gives you no benefit with that narc system because nobody in this lineup has LRMs whatsoever. So yeah, we would really only be able to do one mission, but I guess if we're not going to do the primary mission we're here for, and we're going to look to try and upgrade ourselves before we do that, which may or may not be necessary, but if that's what we were to do, we would probably go let's say we do this mission, and then we go down to Lee. That only takes us 20 days to get there. Lee or this location, both the same. There is a rare mech, so maybe worth going there. Granted, from what I've seen of what rare mechs are, I don't know how keen I am on that kind of stuff, but we could come down to either of these two locations, and then we know we'd be within 2 jumps of this location, probably High Spire here as well. So there's plenty of opportunity to come back and do more contracts. I think that's where I'm at right now. I'd like to upgrade ourselves, either getting another 45-ton mech or a 60 or 65-ton mech, just to give us a little bit more tonnage. But ideally what I'm looking for is a catapult, because that would fit into our lance perfectly, I think. The likelihood I find that, I don't know. I don't know how common of a mech the catapult is in Davian space, and I don't know if this game really cares about those kind of things. So, yeah, let's go ahead and do whatever contract here sounds the most attractive. I'll probably do the lowest difficulty one, not only because it's the lowest difficulty, but also because it's the highest paying contract here. Okay, so we still have only 6 negotiation points with House Liao. We are not that far along getting them to like us. We did just do a contract that was against them, so it does kind of put us a little bit in that direction. There's a lot of compelling missions here, though. They are all against House Davian, so... But we have really good relationship with House Davian, so I'm not really too worried about that. Alright, so this is where it comes down to how do we want to get paid. We have a possibility of going up to 14 shares of salvage. I'm probably going to back that down to either 12 or even 10. And then maybe go do ticks. Yeah, I'm going to go to 10 shares of salvage, so 4 points invested. And I'm going to do 2 ticks of damage coverage, because we're starting to take that kind of damage. We're, on a good day, it seems like we're taking about 300,000 in damage. So sometimes more than that if it's not a good day. And then our total potential payout would be 674,258. If this goes well, then hopefully we'll make a little bit of profit. Okay, I am going to do this mission. It's going to be a slow grind to get House Capella, the Capellans to like me, House Liao, to like me, because they didn't start liking me, and it seems like it's kind of a grind to get this relationship up. But in any case, let's go ahead and accept this contract. Alright. Oh, that's right. We have to wait a day. Thankfully, we can't do that. Okay. So the assassin is going to get switched into the Phoenix Hawk, right? If I can find where it is, because they keep switching and swapping around things. We can change the Trebuchet to be something else if we want to. Trebuchet hasn't necessarily been a super effective mech for us, but I think for now we stick with it. I think if maybe we focus on the tactics a little bit more, we might be able to do something effective with that. So the question is, are we set up properly with our pilots? So Pierre is probably in the best place he could be. Freeman, same. The question is, with McRae, is McRae the best pilot? We've got a few other pilots we could use. Now, the Phoenix Hawk primarily uses energy weapons. And then the other thing we use is ballistic weapons. And in theory, Griffith is better in that regard. Griffith is better pretty much generally across the board, except in one category, which is the damage reduction thing. But the other thing is, though, we're trying to get McRae some experience. Griffith is a fairly new pilot too, though, and also has a higher ceiling. But these two are probably going to be the pilots of our future. Stubbs and Stockton are probably going to be replaced over time. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Griffith here, just because some slight advantages in ballistic weapons, and in particular evasion, which I think will do very well for the Phoenix Hawk. And if we can get some experience into Griffith, that would be nice as well. So I'm going to go with that. So looks like we more or less have this set up. let's ready up and deploy. We'll have to see how this goes, though.
Attention. Prepare for battle mech departure.
We can salvage maybe another mech, too. Like a lighter mech. Because we don't have that many salvage shares, only 10.
Reactor online.
We could get a decent amount of money.
Sensors online.
And be able to afford
Weapons
a heavier mech.
online.
I mean, we could already afford one, but with
All
some
systems nominal.
insurance as well.
And destroy a number of strategic
Okay.
assets. Proceed to the marked locations and level the marked targets. Be warned, enemy forces are on high alert, so expect major resistance if you stick around too long.
Alright, I think that guy went in behind the buildings. We're not overly concerned about him, but let's give him a little bit of large laser. Oh. Alright, let's see where we're going here. Going right towards our objective, so it'll be off to our left, the closest one. Two objectives are fairly close.
Target acquired. Target destroyed.
Okay. Couldn't really see what I'm shooting at there, but
Target destroyed. Target destroyed.
we got a lot of enemies here.
Target destroyed.
I'm gonna back off a little bit. Not really sure where this turret is. I can't really see it through the trees.
Target. Jump jet fuel low.
Just kind of winging it.
Target acquired. Target destroyed. Target destroyed.
Enemy destroyed.
Oh shit, man. They're
Target acquired.
definitely throwing a lot of enemies at me again.
Incoming missile.
Oh, we got an enemy mech here.
Acquired.
Alright.
Target identified.
Shit. Alright. Just stay on the enemy mechs. Focus them down.
Target destroyed.
Alright, that guy's dead.
Target acquired.
Ah,
Target destroyed.
got him.
Target is down.
Target acquired.
Ricochet, get out of the way.
Target destroyed. Target destroyed. Jump jet fuel low.
Gotcha. Alright. Got a lot of damage there.
Target destroyed.
Alright.
Target neutralized. Splash target.
We got some more flying enemies coming in. We're gonna take our time here. Alright, here we go.
Acquired.
Target destroyed.
Target,
Enemy destroyed.
I can't hit him because he's too high up.
target destroyed.
Oh. We got a medium mech.
Target acquired.
Oh, sorry, not a medium mech, a heavy mech. Hit that arm.
Jump jet fuel low. Jump jet fuel empty.
That hurt my legs a little bit.
New target.
Ah,
acquired.
shit, man.
Target destroyed.
Okay, back onto the main target. He's dead. Okay, that was a little on the intense side. I'm taking some decent damage, but I'll be okay.
Eliminated.
Here in the Thunderbolt is taking a lot of damage. Hopefully not anything super serious. But so far, so good. We're not far away from getting our objectives, and I think most of the heavy resistance has died now. Got him.
Target acquired.
Didn't get him very good there. There go the LRMs. Goodbye.
Tango down.
Target acquired.
Okay, I see where it is now. Well, it's dead.
Target.
Target is down.
That many LRMs.
Target
Okay.
acquired.
On your target, Commander.
Make sure the missiles come in,
destroyed.
hitting the right target.
New target
Okay.
acquired.
Again, we'll tell our guy to aim at that guy.
Commander.
We need to help the Phoenix Arc.
Target destroyed.
Watch out, Phoenix Arc. He's going critical. Alright, objectives are done.
Commander. That's one less target. That was a great showing, Commander. Our benefactor will be pleased with our success. Now get back to the dropship, ASAP.
Alright.
Low. Target acquired.
Let's just get out of here.
Target acquired. Target destroyed.
Target is down.
Target destroyed.
Alright, I think that mission went fairly well, as long as Pierre and the Thunderbolt didn't take too much damage.
Happy you made it out of there alive, Commander. Stand by for pickup.
We're getting close to getting Reputation 8 too, which will give us more points to work with, which will be nice. You know, it's funny though. We only have 6 points at Reputation 7. So those two must not correspond because we don't have any negative points with the Capellans. Anyway, total payout is going to be a little over $1 million. Unfortunately, it looks like we're not going to get much in the way of good salvage here. I'm going to do this per share value, so this is worth 125,000 per share, and we'll just be selling these things. This is worth over 100,000. 100,000 is typically kind of the point that I feel like is the good point. I guess these AC-10s would be worth that as well, in theory, because it's 100,000 per. We're only going to be able to take one of those, though. So what I could do is just remove one LRM-10 and take 2 AC-10s. And then those would be worth, share-wise. I mean, I could take the AC-5s, I guess, because they're technically worth more per share amount. At this point, we have 6, so I wouldn't mind selling a couple, probably. Alright, that looks good to me. We've got everything that we could potentially want out of that particular contract. Unless, of course, there's something that's like a 2 level that we would really desperately want. But I'm not seeing anything like that, so we'll just move on. So we did take 469,000 plus damage. So the higher damage payout is definitely good. And we got our, again, a little over $1 million in payout. Although some of that was the damage coverage. The Thunderbolt took 287. He is missing an arm. That's probably the large laser, the bastard. Thankfully, it's only a quality level 1 because I never got the opportunity to upgrade his large laser. But in any case, otherwise, I assume the other weapon systems are okay. Doesn't look like anybody else probably took all that much of a serious damage, so good. Trebuchet, again, very disappointing damage output. I think I'm going to end up having to replace this thing. It's just not doing what I need it to do. Really, what it comes down to it is if we're fighting just primarily vehicles, by the time he fires his 2 LRM-15s, it's way overkill for the AI to do that kind of firing at an enemy, like one of those helicopters. 1 LRM-15 would suffice, and oftentimes the AI is firing both of them. It takes him a very long time to fire those missiles because he's waiting for the lock. Really, the Trebuchet is set up to kill enemy mechs, and we're not facing very many enemy mechs. We're facing a bajillion vehicles. So the Trebuchet is just not good at dealing with that kind of stuff. So I think it's a liability to continue moving with the Trebuchet. It's unfortunate, but the way that the missions are designed, the Trebuchet is just at a disadvantage. Okay, let's go ahead and close this up. I'm not very happy with how much damage that Thunderbolt took. So, yes, I am correct. The large laser was lost. I'm not seeing anything else. We can double check to make sure there's no logos here. So, yeah, it does tell you here. I just wish that was a little bit more obvious. Maybe with the icon being on the frickin' box. But, you know, it is what it is. So we're not going to repair here because there's not really a point in doing so. It's very expensive. Or what have you. The question is, do we want to just go with the lineup that we have already earmarked here? It's at 210 tons. We might take severe damage on this Lance, but I mean, we could stay in and do another contract before leaving. And in that case, I honestly think that probably would be a good idea. So, let's take a look at the contracts and just make up our mind here. It would have to be this defense contract. I would definitely not do this double mission, because that's where you need that depth. So, in any case, let's go to guard duty here. So again, we only have 6 negotiation points. I'm going to go ahead and put them into very similar to what I did last time. Just 2 in damage coverage and the rest in salvage shares. Total payout potential is going to be 539,410. So yeah, that's going to be that. I'm going to go ahead and accept this contract. All right, so I'll read the description. I oftentimes don't do this, but maybe we should. While this part of Footfall 2 isn't the most hospitable, we found some germanium deposits. House Liao bigwigs want it for making KF drives for their jump ships. But apparently, they're all off fighting some glorious war somewhere else, so we've had to hire you. Keep this place safe. We'll keep you flush with sea bills. Okay. So we're going to completely change our Lance loadout. I'm going to be in the Shadowhawk. I'm not sure who's going to be in what other mechs. For the other mechs that we would use would be the Kintaro, the Crab, and the Centurion. Probably makes the most sense for you to be in the Kintaro, I would assume. I mean, I'm going to move the pilots around, so let's put the mechs where I want them to be. So let's actually have the Kintaro here. And then probably the Centurion next. And then in the back, I'm going to do the Crab. I think that makes some semblance of sense. So now let's determine who should be where. The Kintaro is primarily missile weapons, but it does have some medium lasers. In that case, Freeman's probably the best pilot for the job, although we also have MechWarrior, who could potentially be a very good pilot in that regard. Just doesn't have the skill yet. I think I'm going to put MechWarrior in this, just to get him experience where we want him. In theory, eventually Stockton right now is probably the better pilot, but eventually MechWarrior would be definitely better. So, although somebody with good heat efficiency would probably be a good idea as well. Let's just put MechWarrior in there. And then the Centurion needs a good balance. So in that regard, here is probably the best one for the job. We could also do that with Freeman to give him a little bit more ballistic skill, because he's a little bit behind on that. And then we could put Pierre, who the Crab needs energy weapons, so Pierre would be a good one for that. Okay, I think that's the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to put Freeman in the Centurion, just because he needs a little bit more ballistic skill, and that'd be nice. The Centurion does have an autocannon. Also has the other things here, energy weapons and SRM-6. The Crab is going to be piloted by Pierre, which we have already set up. Now, Pierre has proved to be a damage sponge. He likes to take damage all the time. And I really would not like the Crab to take serious damage, so hopefully he's not an idiot. But in any case, we get some maybe possible good experience into MechWarrior. MechWarrior is not very good with ballistic weapons, but that's not going to really matter for the Kintaro. And we want to get those missile systems up. I do tend to use a lot of missile systems, so MechWarrior will be potentially very good once we get there. I've never done the paint on the Kintaro. That is definitely a sin we have to fix immediately. Alright, let's, you know what, I'll go to the Centurion. This is the mech that we start with, so, paint mech. We'll just copy over the colors. Copy. Alright. Where are you, Kintaro? There you are. The first color. Of course, we also have to determine which design we want. Default might not be bad, but what else? How does Applejack look? So far, Applejack has looked terrible on just about every mech that I've looked at. Although I did end up putting it on something, I think. Crusader? Crusader doesn't look bad. What else do we got? Digital, we're already using that. Fractal. Fractal might not be a bad one. Hot Rod would be a very appropriate for the Kintaro because this mech overheats like a son of a bitch, but... that's the skeleton one. Polygon. You know, one we had used at one point. I'm trying to remember where it is. Not Razzle Dazzle. Ah, there it is. Urban Block. We haven't used this one in a long time. We had it on the Locust that we got. But yeah, I'm going to go with this. Let's see how the other colors look. So, mech, that tan, that's going to be the more important color, because I think the other two colors were like white, so copy. Mech. Yeah, it's kind of like a tan at the moment, but paste. Gives us an idea of how it's going to look. I think I'm okay with that, and we'll just get our white now. I can always change my mind on that. So this is what it looks like. So it's kind of got a checkerboard pattern kind of idea to it. Crusader, not bad on this mech, honestly. Fractal, we get to truly see how that looks. So-so on that one. Hot Rod. What else? Razzle Dazzle we haven't used in a while, but Arton. It looks terrible with our paints. Tiger. I think we're already using Tiger somewhere. Vagabond. Virus also looks terrible with our paint scheme. And then Woodland. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with the Urban Block. Maybe it doesn't look fantastic on this mech, but it's alright. Alright. Back to the contracts. This should all be set up. Alright. Fingers crossed this isn't a terrible idea. It's been a little while since I've used the Shadowhawk. This is an entirely close-range fighter, which may be problematic in a mission like this, where we have just absolute tons of enemy vehicles, some of them at long ranges. We'll have to see. Our mechs might get beat to hell here. Hopefully it's not beating us to hell to the point where it would cost me too much to repair.
Let's get there and support the remaining units.
I also don't have jump jets, which I've been using in the Grasshopper. I really like the Grasshopper. That might be a mech I stay in for quite a long time.
You've reached the target, Commander.
Because it suits my playstyle very well.
Friendly's on approach. Good to have you saddled up and on our side.
Who's our friendly mech here?
My people are tired and
Javelin.
scared of what's coming for us. Let's do our best to keep them away from the complex and put an end to these attacks. It'd be much appreciated by all.
Alright,
Recon
see an enemy
reports
coming
that
in.
the hostiles are still on a collision course with our position. Get ready for them.
Clear on the other side.
Target acquired.
My allies do not have LRMs, so it's going to take us a little bit of time to get there and be effective. Alright, I'm going to focus on this guy.
Acquired. Target destroyed.
Okay. Let's go back and get that mech.
Target acquired. Target destroyed.
Okay, got him. Alright.
Target acquired.
More targets coming in. Centurion, look behind you. I'm not quite in range yet. Oh, I ran into something.
New target acquired.
Hello. Alright, I might have my back to the enemy. I need to not have that be the case.
Destroyed. Target acquired. Target destroyed.
Got him.
Scopes are lighting up with additional bogies, Commander. ETA unknown.
Why is that guy still on the radar? Okay. Okay, contact over there. Watch out. Okay, enemy mech off to the right. Somebody in my lance have LRMs? 'Cause I feel like somebody's firing LRMs.
Target
Got him.
destroyed.
We got some helicopters in behind us.
Target acquired.
Ooh, somebody in behind me.
Damage to the facilities is minor at the moment, Commander. But we cannot allow such damage to cascade.
Okay.
To draw the enemies away from here.
Trying to go for his legs to slow him down.
Destroyed. Destroyed.
Okay. That wave's taken care of. So far, this mission's going pretty well, I'd say. I haven't taken very much damage, and neither has anybody in my lance.
Target acquired.
Okay. Got another locust coming in. It's a 1M, so it should die fairly quickly. It's hiding from me, though, little bastard. If I had jump jets, I'd be able to see him, but there he is. Come here, you bastard. Got him.
That mech is about to go critical.
All right. Where's the rest of the enemy?
Enemy forces.
Ah, okay, we were
continuing
just
to
waiting for it.
converge on your location.
Okay, looks
Stay
like they're coming
frosty,
off this way.
Commander.
See a helicopter incoming as well. I'm not in range yet. Be patient.
Target
Well, that's right. The Kintaro has LRMs. I forgot about that. Okay, it should be in range now.
target
All right.
destroyed.
Hello there. Gotcha. Okay, where's the rest of them? Ah, there's a guy in the base.
Acquired.
Another locust. And we got a medium mech as well. 2 medium mechs. Ooh, a hunchback. That's not good. Today, one with the AC-10.
Target acquired.
Blackjack. I'll focus on that first. Mostly because it's not focused on me. See if we can get that arm off.
Mech destroyed.
Hi, you bastard. Got him. Ow! Hunchback is lighting me up.
Target acquired.
Alright, I'm gonna just run through the wall here. No, I'm not.
With the narc.
Wall said, no, you don't get to walk through me. Got you, bastard. Okay. That's probably an enemy lance coming in. Go, go, go. What do we got?
Target acquired.
Enforcer. Ooh.
They destroyed a mining platform.
I have my back to the enemy. That's a bad idea. Almost got the other arm. Ah, F you.
Target successful. Target marked.
Alright. This bastard.
Acquired. Target destroyed.
Got him. Alright. Light mech.
Incoming missile. Target
Gotcha.
destroyed.
Alright. Okay. One more enemy.
Target acquired.
See him. Little harasser vehicle. Okay. I mean, mission still.
Congratulations, Commander. These people owe their lives to you.
Okay. Base defense mission seemed to go pretty well. I have to keep my eye out for that type of mission because that was technically a higher difficulty mission than the previous one, but we came through much cleaner. I think it kind of helps you overcome the numbers that the enemy can have. Well, first off, the enemy is limited to how many numbers they can have because they come in waves and it's a set number. We probably face less enemies in this mission. Not only that, they have the base to destroy, so they oftentimes have their attention divided. So you have a little bit more license to attack them without just having them all gang up on you. So I am starting to think this is the mission you want to take in most cases. Especially when we compare the two results. Alright, let's switch by value. Okay, some AC-10s. I already have two of the things. From a value per share, it's probably worth picking up. So I'll pick one up. And then we'll grab an LRM-10. The medium laser I'm definitely going to grab. Let's see. Another LRM-10. And then I guess everything else is a compromise. I guess I'll go ahead and take this burst fire AC-2. We might actually want that for the future. And then I guess we take two medium lasers. Call it a day. Alright, so we ended up getting a total payout of 705,000. We didn't take anywhere near as much damage in this fight, which we already knew that. So I did almost 1,000 damage there. The Shadowhawk can really mess them up. I mean, the speed that I can get those SRMs out, it was almost a continuous barrage when I was actually attempting to do so. I took the most damage out of the group, and I really didn't take that much damage, all things considered. Venturion did very well. This is still a very solid mech for us. Crab was somewhat disappointing, but it's probably the lowest damage output of all the mechs that we have here, so I guess that's somewhat to be expected. It also took a lot of damage, but that's just Pierre for you. He always somehow finds a way to take damage. And then McRae did quite well on that Kintaro, but that's not too surprising. The Kintaro has a very high damage output. As a matter of fact, this is probably a bad performance for what the Kintaro can do. Alrighty, let's go ahead and close out here. Okay. Now, I had to pay some bills, so we might be kind of just at the same point we were at as far as the money. Probably a little bit of profit, but I think all in all pretty well. And we get to link all of our repairs up so that we get the 2 lances done at the same time. So that's pretty good. I like that. Let me go ahead and close the tab. Well, no, let's not close the tab because we need to figure out where to go. So we either want to go to Lee or this other place here. Because there's a rare mech, I think that's probably the higher priority. So that's going to take 20 days to get to. So let's just go ahead and travel because we know we have to do it. Unless we have a message to look at. No. Okay. Let's go back to the star map. So I think that was fairly successful for us. We got 2 contracts done. The second one in particular was very successful. So let me go ahead and do that. And from here on out, I'll keep an eye out for defense contracts because they seemingly are much easier to pull off. There's another contract that's very similar in the way it works and that the enemy is in waves. But I'm not 100% sure what it is. Ooh, a Marauder is in here. 75 tons, though. That's actually heavier rather than lighter. Well, let's go ahead very quickly. I mean, I may be tempted to get that, but let me take a look real quickly at the star map and just see where we want to go as far as mission. So, Warzone contract. It might be the Warzone contract is the one that I'm thinking of. Assassination contracts and raid contracts seemingly are the ones you don't want to do. Demolition contract might be okay. I'm not really sure, but I want to see what a Warzone contract is to kind of confirm it. But I don't think we want to do either of these contracts. Assassination contracts tend to be extremely difficult, so I'm probably going to stay away from those. And you know, once we figure out like what are the right mission types for us and like what are the ones that are easier to pull off, yeah, see down here might be a good place because there's 2 defense contracts here. Okay. So this might be a possibility down here. Although, if we're trying to improve our relationship with the Capellans, these will probably be, well, they might be maybe 1 Capellan mission, but they might just be Aldavian contracts against the Capellans, which we wouldn't want. Alright, well, in any case, let's take a look at the market here. So we have ourselves another Enforcer. See, now we're getting the Enforcers. This is what I kind of expected out of Davian Space. We weren't getting it before, but I guess we're getting it now. Wow, there's a lot of mechs here that are good. I suspect that this Marauder is going to be, yeah, because it's a rare mech, it's going to be even more expensive than it typically is. I mean, we're getting a 25% discount, and it's still $7.5 million. We have ourselves an Orion. I love Orions. They're amazing mechs. We have ourselves a Quick Draw. Not as much so. And a Zeus. Fancy seeing you here. Zeus is more of a Steiner mech. Quick Draw is really beat up too, so I don't know if that's going to be high on my priority list. Now, we are looking for a 60-65 ton mech. Unfortunately, what we found is really heavy mechs. I don't think this is the standard loadout of the Orion. I want to say it's the Orion K. Not familiar with the VA variant. Doesn't seem like it's that different. It looks like it may just have an extra SRM4. This is the default Marauder, just a rare version, which somebody told me that just makes it more likely that they can take on advanced tech or something. But otherwise, this is just a normal Marauder. It's the default Marauder. There's no other difference other than it costs an F-ton amount of money. I don't really understand why you would buy a mech like this. I just don't. But I guess we'll see. I mean, I haven't yet seen any advanced tech, so even less of a reason to do so. We do have a Quality 2 AC-10, maybe worth picking up. Quite a few higher quality auto cannons in here. I'm probably going to want to sell some stuff too, so let's go through that. Anything that is 0 quality just gets immediately sold. Okay, and go through here. Probably have way too many medium lasers at this point, but I do go through them fairly frequently because it's one of the most common weapons. We got some LRM5, or 10s, I mean, to sell. Okay. We don't have any AMS. And we could get rid of jump jets, but I think I'll keep a hold of those for now. Let me take a look at the market here. So starting off with this, just these single heat sinks, nothing really exciting there. Missile systems, a couple LRM-15 ST variants, quality level 2, maybe worth picking up. How many of those do I have? I have none. Okay, maybe worth picking up. The question is, what do I have in that slot? Do I even have that many good quality LRM-15s? Not really. So that might be worth picking up. Let me take a look at the cost of it. It's so-so. Energy weapons. Okay, we've got a quality level 3 large laser. We have quite a few mechs that use large lasers, so I don't think that's a bad pickup for us. So I don't mind it. There's only one, so... And it's not all that expensive. So we'll purchase that. I think the AC-10s are probably worth picking up. What I might do is just do a swapperoo, because I have a bunch of quality 1s. I could just buy all 4 of those quality 2s and just be ahead of the game. So, yeah, I think I'll do that. We lose a little bit of money in the transaction, but I'll buy 4 of these for 1.5 million. We do use AC-10s fairly... Well, I mean, we use them a lot in the Centurion. The Centurion has a habit of losing its arm, so having replacements for the AC-10 is pretty important, I'd say. But who knows? We have other mechs that could use AC-10s. I mean, hey, if we bought the Orion, it uses an AC-10, so it wouldn't necessarily be a bad idea to pick one of these up. Or 4 of these up, in this case. So purchase that, and then we just go over into our inventory and we sell the 3 quality level 1s. Get some of our money back. 600,000 we're going to get back. We have a lot of AC-5s here. Tempting to sell them. I might even sell this quality 1 burst fire autocannon. Because we have 4 of the quality 2s. Alright, let's go back to the market though. Quality 3 AC-20. I mean, I don't have any AC-20s yet that I would need to use, so... Quality 3 is really tempting to buy, though. But they're fairly expensive, so I don't know. I just can't justify the cost. It's one of those things where it's just like... This makes sense because I have the trebuchet, but we've seen so far, trebuchet not very effective. Maybe it would be more effective with this type of missile system. I'll go ahead and buy them because we have the catapult that could potentially show up eventually, but I don't know. I kind of feel like this is a waste of money. You know what? F it. No, we're not going to buy those. Let me take a look at the battle mechs and see what we'd want to do here. I mean, the Orion's really tempting. It's a very good mech, but what we're doing is we're actually causing ourselves more of a problem than solving it. Insofar as we're getting actually a heavier mech than what we want rather than the mech that we want. What we want is a 60, 65 ton mech. Quick draw could be good for us, but I don't know. It just isn't really what I am looking for. We could potentially make this mech really solid, but the one problem that I have is it's beat to F and hell. I mean, it is really beat up. So I'd have to repair it. It'd be extensive repairs. It is kind of cheap, but it's not all that much more expensive to get the Orion. So that makes it kind of a hard sell for me, considering how much damage it's taken. And the Orion hasn't taken anywhere near as much damage, and it's selling for what it is. But the quick draw would fall more within the tonnage we're looking for. As far as the modifications that I could do, I would strip out the not the heat sinks, the jump jets, which I think would give us 5 tons back, if I'm thinking correctly. And then I don't know what I do with the weapon systems. I mean, this mech doesn't have a bad damage output. Really, where it lacks is in armor. It's not very well armored. Otherwise, it's not really a bad mech. I mean, it's got decent speed for a 60-ton mech. There's a lot of mechs I'd rather have at this weight, though. But it might be just what we have to get because it's what we have to work with. So, all right. Well, let me take a look at my inventory because if I get that, I have to sell something. Well, not necessarily. I could just buy it and put it. It would go into cold storage. But to use it, I'd have to sell something eventually. So, the question is, what do we sell? And in my opinion, we honestly had just upgraded this thing. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the Panther. I'm going to put it into cold storage, which removes all of its equipment. And then I'm going to sell it. I think the Panther's days have passed. And I would much rather keep the Jenner or the Firestarter. I just think if we are forced to use a 35-ton mech, I think they're just the better mechs. So we'll go ahead and sell the Panther here. And then while we have that slot open, I'm also going to sell the Spider. Give us a little bit more cash.